Now then, YouTube, welcome to my M3, which is broken again. My own fault, pretty much, you know. Right, I was going to show you the bush, but I can't find it. It's in there somewhere for sure. So we've got a broken bush. My bush is a bit broken, yeah. Right, so just to start off with, M3s, E46 M3s, the manual ones, are known to be a bit aggressive in the driveline, let's say. The gearbox it's not pleasant, the clutch is heavy, the shifts are hard, you know, it's a pretty savage gearbox. It's not like a Honda EP3 or a chuffing L RS6 just pulled in. Not bad, that's a V10 lad, that, isn't it? The big lad. So yeah, the M3s are known for having a bit of a savage gearbox, and there's plenty of threads online about people discussing the gearbox clunk, and the gearbox does just make some noises sometimes. It's just how it is. But mine has suddenly decided to be a lot more savage recently. So since rebuilding the back end and putting the car back together, I've had a little bit of a knock, and it's got worse and worse, and I found that my gearbox mounts are split in two pieces. So I thought, oh nice one, this will be it. Changed the gearbox mounts, but then the noise just got slightly worse. I've tracked it down, and it's my front diff bush, and it's not just the bolt that's loose, because the bolt can just come loose on this as well, but it's not that. It's ripped the bush completely out of the subframe. I didn't change it when I had the subframe powder coated and stuff, so it's all completely my fault. I'm just a bit silly really. I should have changed it then. I didn't. Now we're gonna have to change it with the car all back together. So yeah, so let's get on the road. I'm not sure how well this the old iPhone's gonna do when we actually get on the road. It's on a nice mount, so it shouldn't shake really, but listen to when I lift the clutch up when I'm changing gear. Can you hear it? Maybe it's more of a feel thing. Basically, the front of my diff is going like that. Definitely got out at the wrong time there. I don't know where all that's just come from. The fan rain that soaked you through. Oh, she's a beater, like. She's a fucking beater. Right, so before I show you the play, I'll just show you where the bolt is that we're going to be going into. So this is where the bush sits in the rear subframe. Obviously that's the differential, and we're on the right side of the car, and the bush goes in there. Now, I was just going to start backing that off there, but you know, as I've read, these can strip quite easily. I'm probably going to take some more covers off and try and get it on a bit squarer, just so that I'm trying to reduce any risk of pulling the thread out with it. There's still a good chance that we will, and that, you know, this might not be a today job, but fingers crossed that comes out. Now the play, so I've put a little rag there on the diff, and just watch this universal joint on the back of the prop shaft and you'll see the movement. I'll try and hold the phone steady. Oh, I slipped off. Oh, steady on, lad. So yeah, you can see that, right? And if I can get just right in there. So can you see the full, so the bush is still somewhat on the diff and somewhat in the carrier. So yeah, definitely gone. So in order to fix this properly with the BMW part, you'd need to press, you know, the old item out. Well, this one's broken, so we might have an easier time getting it out, but you'll certainly need to press the new one in and try and get a tool in there to do that. As you can see, that would probably involve removing the diff, and I don't want to do that if I can get away with it. So the first thing I'm going to do then is take some of these plastic covers off on this side, try and get it so I can get square into it, and then we'll see about where we can perhaps maybe tilt the diff out the way. We've got the tranny jack. He's going to help us out at some point, no doubt, to try and maybe lift the diff at the front, perhaps. Yeah, I'm going to have a look anyway, so I'll let you know how I get on. This socket's about to sing its last song. Ooh. But the show must go on, so let's see how it does, eh? 16. So that bit of trim's not going to come all the way off, because he's just chilling at the top there, under where the ramp goes on. But we can get in now. Where are you, you bastard? You're up there, aren't you? Hello. God. And you can see where I've clearly just had the subframe powder coated and completely forgotten about that bush, can't you? Yeah. See, I am a retard quite a lot of the times, you see. See, even that socket hitting against the subframe brace, so maybe I'll get a shorter socket. Okay, so yeah, I'll have a crack on that. Right, just got the bolt out. Are you ready for this? I was especially worried about this because the other week when I was trying to work out what it was, someone told me this bolt can come loose. So I thought, all right, then I'll go and tighten it up. So yeah, I went and just tightened it up. And of course, that's when I found that, oh, hang on, the bush is gone. So I thought I might have over tightened it and, you know, sent myself for a solid shafting with that diff casing, but yeah, that bolt's come out. Oh, it's definitely knackered, look. So the hard thing on this will be, oh, I chipped a bit of paint off. So getting this centre bit out is going to be easy because it's collapsed. There's obviously no room there because the diff's just chilling, but we might be able to move the diff out the way. So the hardest thing for us is going to be getting the outer race of that bush out. Now I've got some tools. Check my tools out. A professional tiny little mini saw, because I want to try and do it with this first if I can. Because I do have as well, oh shit, I did get some proper nasty blades for the reciprocating saw. I used these kind of style things to do the rear trailing arm bushes, the front bush. And I've done some other bushes with these before where I've just cut the outer race out and then tapped them out with a hammer, and it seems to work all right, but that'll be the second choice. First choice by hand with this. I mean, I know it's a cheap saw, but it is brand new, so hopefully it'll at least do this one job. It was only about £3, so there you go. Right, I got myself up to a nice part, so I'm going to show you where I'm at. I've had to remove more things than what I thought, but it become a case of remove things and make your life easier, or struggle and try and get around them. So I thought, we've got day, it's Saturday, you know, I've got all the day, I've got all the time, so I've took a few parts off just to make my life a bit easier. Now I'm just about to take the differential out, so that's the last part to come out now. I've got all the bolts off of all the shafts and stuff like that. Let's go and have a look and show you what it looks like. Okay, so yeah, one or two things that I've had to remove: the rear V-brace, the rear anti-roll bar, the mid-section on the exhaust that goes between the cats and the back box. That's about it, I think. Yeah, pretty much. So I've taken all the bolts out the shafts, either side of the diff, and the front one for the prop shaft. They're all E12, as you'd expect. This heat shield's a bit malformed, it's not quite on where it wants to be. I might try and see if I can get that better, but someone suggested a new name for tranny jack in a previous video, and it was Jackie Tran. Yeah, I'll try and remember that one, that's good. So the diff, other than the front bolt that we've already removed, and the shafts, etc., you've just got these two. Can you see? Yeah, you can see. You've got these two bolts at the back. Now this diff plate cover is actually new, so these bushes that are in the diff cover are new and they're OEM. So really I should have, and it's all right, you know, in hindsight to say this, but I should have changed that front bush when this was all in pieces. But, you know, I didn't, so that's why we're here today, and that's why we're removing the diff. Yeah, so I'm gonna get these two bolts out, and then I should just be able to drop the diff out of the way. Right, the diff's off. Looking very nice. So yeah, literally the only bush that I didn't change when doing all of this was this little fucker, and yeah, you live and learn. That's how well in it is. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty broken. Catch. So the job that we've got to do is to get this outer race out, because that's still there, and without that out, the power flex bush won't go in. But we've got all the room in the world now that diff's out. Look, hey up, look at all the room. Was a bit, Jackie Tran was struggling a little bit with the old diff there. I had to get Ed to give us another hand, because that diff, I don't know if it's just because that diff's absolutely fucking massive or what, but Jackie was struggling a little bit. Right, so let's get this fucking thing out. So what I'll do here, because it's an outer race and it's been pressed in, if we can slice it with either the hacksaw or the reciprocating saw, just to release the compression, and then we'll be able to tap it out. In theory. Hello. Look at all this iPhone angles, man. I can get it right in there. Woo. Okay, let me show you how I'm getting this outer race off this bush then. So I did actually end up using the junior hacksaw. This is like a 150mm hacksaw, but I flipped the blade so the blades, you know, on the inside. Now I was going to go in with a reciprocating saw, but as you can see, I bought the cheapest reciprocating saw I could. So the actual unit itself is massive, and I couldn't quite get in square. I could have started cutting the bush, but it would have been slanted. But yeah, using the hacksaw, if I can just move this out of the way. So I've started. It looks like I've done 2. Didn't realise I'd done 2, but I don't really see that. I can't really see that with my eye. I can only see that now with the iPhone sticking that in there. But yeah, general idea is just to go through that, and then that should release some pressure, and we should be able to tap it out quite easily with a hammer and a chisel. How loud's that rain then? Oh, calming down a little bit. Well, there we go, there's the end result. That's what we wanted. So I managed to cut through the outer race and then managed to pry underneath it to get it out. Well, I mean, she's not out yet. Get the bigger. Boom. Not too much damage. Normally go quite a bit further through, but I'm just going to be careful with that. A bit of paint come off there, but no bother. So I'll give this a clean. It doesn't need greasing because this doesn't really move. I think the centre pin that goes into the where the bolt goes, I think that does need greasing, but this goes in dry. Okay, the bushes. So the old bush. Yeah. Pretty knackered. Christ. We might have a fun drive home. It's gonna be a bit schleppy, I think. So I got the power flex pretty much in there now. I'm not sure if it wants to go in slightly more. There's a tiny bit of a lip. There's a washer that goes in here between the bush and the diff, and then on the other side there's another couple of washers, and it's pretty flush on both sides now. Got a bit of spaff, just ignore that. Jism, just chilling. So yeah, I'm going to put the diff back in there and then start bolting everything else back on, me think. Right, diff's almost back in, so I got it sitting on the back 2 bolts at the minute. Lifted it up with Jackie Tran, all good. I'm going to put a bit of thread lock on this bolt because this is the one that goes to 200 Newton meters at the front where we've just replaced the bush. Yeah, maybe it's the thread lock that pulls the alloy out. Alright, it's time to torque that front diff bolt up. It was a bit of a faff, to be honest, to get it in, this Powerflex kit. With the assortment of washers, it was just a bit fiddly, but we're in there now, bolt's threaded in, so I'm just going to torque it up. Right, there's nothing on the floor. That's because everything's on the car. All back together like it was this morning. So yeah, we did all right there. Cable ties all on this cover back on lovely, but yeah, everything's back together, so let's get it on the floor and take it outside. Hopefully the Clunk's not just transferred to somewhere else now like it did when I changed the gearbox mounts. Hopefully that's all gone now, but I get the camera set up inside. It's fucking raining at the minute, it's proper throwing it down, so I'll probably wait half an hour or so just to see if it clears up a little bit, and then yeah, I'll see you outside. I couldn't even throttle the car or anything. I'd have to be steady, I'd have to be slow. Otherwise, you get a big old knock at the back. So to finally have the car back together now, not knocking, I can finally get a proper feel for this 4.1, although the weather conditions are against us, but it feels so much better already. The 808Rs are quite good in the wet. These ones are quite a few years old now, and they've had quite a few heat cycles, so they're not the best, but it can still disperse water. They can still disperse water okay, you know. Just perhaps the compound isn't quite there. Whoa, that's a big splash. shame the conditions aren't any better so we can have a proper test of the car, but I mean instantly every gear change is just perfect now. It's on point, it's there, it's where you want it. Yeah, the gear changes are there now. I can change gear in confidence. It's not really what you want in a manual car, to be changing gear with no confidence. Not being too sure what damage you're doing to your rear subframe, or not being even too sure what was broken for most of that time. Fuck, massive tractor. Wah. Yeah, the gearbox is better. Just the the transmission, let's say, the driveline. Anyway, that's been a nice video of that. We didn't even strip the gearbox bolt. Everything's back together and I'm driving it home. And it's sunny a little bit now. Right, so hope you enjoyed watching me tinking with my M3. We've fixed the diff bush. Happy days. And I'll see you in the next video where we'll be compression testing it, finding out whether or not it needs a head gasket. Goodbye.